Welcome to the Pacifica webinar series. We're so excited that all of you are here to join us today. Before we start, we'd just like to introduce our program. The Pacifica webinar series is a continuation of the Pacifica Scholars Summer Institute that bridges culture, community, and education through Talanoa and intends to amplify our Pacifica community's voices, as well as provide resources for higher education at the University of Utah. This Zoom webinar will be moderated by me, recorded and offered later on our YouTube channel, the Pacifica Archive. We would like to extend a special thanks to Dr. Kehaulani Vaughn, our faculty advisor, Kalei Tuitupo, and Kaimana Kahale for bringing this webinar into all of our living rooms this evening. A little bit about housekeeping for today's broadcast. We'll be sharing our agenda, which includes Dr. Paul Fisk and Tevita Kinikini, both who are coming from CESA and will introduce themselves shortly. And then we're going to have a 1-hour format ending with a Q&A with our Pasifika Ambassadors. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest speakers. Dr. Paul Fisk is Japanese, Swedish American. He advises current and potential transfer students from SLIC, Snow College, and the U. Paul advises the UofU Asian American Student Association, Vietnamese American Student Association, and co-advises the Crimson Transfer Honor Society with the Office of Orientation and Transition. He assists in events, workshops, and classes related to transfer students throughout the year. And that's over 9,000 transfer students. So we're really grateful that Paul has made time to come and speak with us today. Our second panelist is Tevita Kinikini. He's also the PISA advisor. Dee was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. His passion is education and providing support to students' success. He is known for his smile, laughter, and genuine care. If you stop by his office, he will always have something he would love to share with you, be that food or conversation. And if you would really like to know him, ask him about his days as a student at East High School. So I'd like to turn the time over to both of you just to, for the next few minutes, to share the different resources that you all have there in CESA. Most of the students that will be watching and participating are Pacific Islanders, and we love to hear what you have to share. But before I go, I just want to ask, I've asked every guest here that has come, who is your favorite Pacific Islander band or singer? Paul?
That's a good question. I'm blanking on their name. Maybe Dee will remember. There is a group that's like from Salt Lake City. It's kind of a jam band that's like all Pacific Islander. I saw them. It's been a few years ago now, but they were really good, and now I can't remember the name right now. But that was really fun. But I can't remember right this second.
It's on the spot. Dee, what's your favorite one? Dee, unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Yeah, or no? Yes? Okay. So every time we have gatherings for the office over the last 14, 15 years, we do like karaoke stuff, right? So I would call out Fileti Matangi, and that's my favorite singer right there because he never says no. And he hogs up the microphone when we have karaoke for the students, but he'll come and jump in and sing. So there's a lot of great artists and stuff, but he's got to be one of my favorites because he's got a pretty good attitude about jumping on the mic for the students all the time. So, and I think Paul was referring. Are you speaking about the siblings, or are there a family group there, Paul?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, they're related to everybody on the screen right here. Those are they're from Rose Park area in Salt Lake. The Wolfgram family, known as the Jets. Is that it?
Yes, and they're really good. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I was a backup for them.
Oh, you were a dancer or a singer?
Both, but I was in the very back. So
And I agree with D. Faletti, his song is 1 in a Million. So you have to ask him to sing 1 in a Million. And he'll be like, no, no, no. And then as soon as it starts, he's just like fully into it.
he does it
We
really
have,
good.
we
He'll
should
say,
have we
he'll
should have
first
had
go,
him on.
he'll say, no, I don't want to sing. No, I don't want to sing. As soon as it plays, okay, all right, I guess I'll sing.
So yeah, I was just wanting both of you just to explain kind of what CESA is, what kind of resources you offer. But you all can go ahead and then we'll end with the ambassadors having a conversation about some of their challenges that they're facing this year, especially with online, which is a plethora of other challenges that they may have, or maybe some of them are enjoying not having to come into class. But I'll let Paul and Dee, you all take it away.
Thank you for the really nice welcome. And we were thinking kind of just to tag team it and just have it be flowing and not just kind of a boring presentation. So hopefully this is more engaging. I think CESA, I really think of it as like home away from home and a space kind of for people to come in. I know it's a little harder with COVID and having to close our lounge, but just a lot of resources. I advise, the Asian American Student Association. I also work with orientation with the Crimson Transfer Honor Society and VASA as well. But so we have the student groups. I advise ACEA. D advises the Pacifica Islander Student Association. We also have a Black Student Union, Intertribal Student Association of Native Students, and MECHA, which is a Latinx student group, and then lots of students kind of creating their own student groups that are kind of in and out related to our office. Our office is kind of set up in programs. So for me, I work specifically with transfer students, and I really love that. With transfer students, a lot of the work is kind of helping people come to the university. So before COVID, I would be physically at Salt Lake Community College or Snow College. Right now, it's more like Zoom and online, unfortunately, but helping people come to the university. And then once they come, just kind of staying with people all the way through. And that's been really exciting for me as, I helped somebody apply to the U. We got their application fee waived. So let me know about that if that's something you're interested in. And then, getting into classes, signing up for internships or other leadership positions. We've done a lot, not as much this year, but grad school prep, helping the students we work with kind of apply to grad school, what questions they have. And then, we've had some students go through grad school, have master's degrees. And so that's been really exciting, really neat. And one of the things that I think for me that I want to just say real quick is that a lot of times transfer students don't get the love they deserve. So I'm here to like shout everybody out. But about 40% of the University of Utah is transfer students. Transfer students are some of the most amazing students I've ever worked with. A lot of Pacific Islander students are transfer students. And so just really, acknowledging just the great work that so many of the students we work with in CESA have done. I think that's what I love about my job. And then we have a first year program for students directly out of high school. We have a second year program. Julia Soto leads. It's more of, career services, mental health, kind of getting the plan. It's not really a course. And also really kind of working as a group. They used to do like a camping trip, but we haven't been able to do with COVID, but that's one of the big things they do in the second year program. The first year program and the transfer program have courses in ethnic studies. So the transfer course is politics of borders and migration. It's an international requirement, which is a bachelor's degree requirement that it's not part of a general education. So students who come with their general education can still get that additional graduation credit. The diversity scholars program, which Dee has worked with, I'm sure you can talk more about. We have get 2 gen ed requirements in the first semester, and there's a gen ed requirement in the second semester. It's a year-long program. We also have retention, again, which Dee can talk more about, which is a great program. And then just kind of, we're really there, I think, kind of the whole step of the way, like at whatever year you're in, however you come to the university, we're here to support you. And I really think kind of that's one of the main things we think about. And I am a parent, if you see my kids running around in the background, but a little bit of a dad joke, but like one of the questions we were asked to talk about is kind of where is CESA? We're in the union, we're in room 235, but most of the time right now, due to COVID, we're online. But I do think it means like we're everywhere, you know, and so CESA is just like somewhere that's all around you to support you. And I think that's kind of nice. And it's like, you know, it's not just a physical place. I think it's hopefully the support that we can give you all, and kind of the feelings of, you know, that we care. And I think that's kind of how I want to start. Dee, you want to talk a little more about the programs you work in?
Thank you, Paul. That was a great introduction. Years ago, when I first came to the University of Utah, before most of you were born, the campus was so large and so big, and didn't know a lot of people there. I would follow the crowd to go to certain places or kind of hear from my peers of some support services there. I came across the CESA office, which stands for the Center for Ethnic Student Affairs office. It was kind of tucked in the Union Building on the second floor. Third floor actually is what it's called. It's right where the Chronicles is at, right, Paul? The old one. Anyways, yeah. I went over there and I saw people who looked like me. I saw some relatives and some non-traditional students. And that's who I identified when I first came back. I took a few years off of school after coming from down south, playing football down there to take care of my grandparents who raised me. And so I took a few years off school to care for them. And I came back and just needed some support and some direction in a lot of things, from finances to classes to what classes to take and so forth. And this center, at that time, there was a lady by the name of Fahina Pashi who was there. And shortly after that, there was she was there to help kind of direct traffic and lead people, connect them with other resources. And that's kind of like what we do. We have different programs, student support groups. My particular responsibility is what we call retention programs, which overlaps any year, any student, undergraduate, graduate, and so forth, with activities and programs, internships, leadership, mentorship. There's just a wide variety of things that we're doing. And before I forget, we're having an activity on Friday, December 4th. It is what we're calling a pre-finals virtual game night. Pre-finals virtual game night. It'll start around 6:30. We'll have some games online hosted by students and staff. We're going to give everybody every person who attends will receive a care package, a finals care package, and then a ton of chances to win Utah swag, gifts, prizes, you name it. So a nice way to meet other people in our office, such as Paul and I, and what we do there. Small games, trivia games, bingo, drawing, fun things virtual for 1 hour. So mark your calendar and I will send it out to Moana or Calais to send it out to the ambassadors and everybody in your reach. Our office is directly across from ASUU, down that student involvement office. And really we're there to help, not do things for you, but help connect you, help you learn how to navigate, connect you with professors or programs or jobs or any which way that you can be able to go upstream on your own. One of the things that I enjoyed about CESA when I was a student is meeting people and networking. And that's something that we do very well in our community, in our culture, and just who we are. Somebody knows there's a discount chicken discount over at Walmart down the street. Before they leave the store, everybody in the neighborhood knows about it. And that's the great thing I enjoy about our office is that, and this is what I believe, I mentioned it earlier in one of our summits. No one really cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. And I've lived with that throughout my whole life. And so if I don't have the answers for you, or if Paul doesn't have the answer for you, I promise you, we've been here long enough that we know who to connect you with to help you continue to progress in academia and as a professional. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope I didn't leave anything out, Paul. On our website, you can connect with everybody in our office and know what everybody's role is. Our website is diversity.utah.edu. You can learn about our whole staff, our roles, our programs. We have a calendar. Right now, we are involved in an annual warm clothes drive that we do for the homeless shelter. Those of you who are helping out with this over the years, especially with PISA, it's something pretty popular, and different departments have jumped on, even the school, to help us to collect warm clothes for all the shelters in the valley. So I think I'm better just to answer any questions if we have any. And Paul, if I missed anything, please fill in over here. But just so grateful to be here with all of you. And thank you all for the wonderful work that you all do.
Thanks, Dee. Yeah, and there's a couple of things you mentioned that really made me think of other things. I also was a student in CESA before I was a staff member, and I think one of the things that I try to take with my work is, I'm mixed. I wasn't sure, like, do I even belong? Can I be in like ASA, the Asian American Student Association? And people were really warm and really welcoming, and it really helped me grow as a person and as a student. And I try to really take that with the students that come into the center. And I know that that's kind of an office-wide thing of just like Dee said about like really caring and genuinely caring. And I think the other thing that's really cool, we have a lot of partnerships that we kind of allude to, but I want to say a little bit more. One of the things that we do is, again, so I work with orientation a lot. We have the Crimson Transfer Honor Society. It's if you can hear my daughter, she's talking underneath my chair. But the really cool thing about the Crimson Transfer Honor Society is they have a lot of opportunities for transfer students. So they have scholarships, they have officer positions that are paid, other kind of professional development. And so like those are things that, because I work in CESA, but also help advise them, I can help you that bridge and say, hey, this may seem like maybe you're not super interested in honor society, but I'm happy to help and support that. The other cool thing we do is we work a lot with the counseling center, particularly now with COVID. We've had a long-standing partnership. We have now it's become two, but we have two groups to really help support students. They're called Building Resilience. There's a group me that has kind of positive messages. One of the groups that's the kind of the first group meets on Fridays, 12 to 1. Natalie Wilson, who's great, is kind of one of the co-facilitators. Also Chelsea Manzanares, who's the GA for the transfer program that works with me, also is a big part of it. And then I'm on Fridays. We had just a great discussion earlier today, and kind of every Friday, that's a great place to just kind of talk, de-stress. It's really open to kind of what people want to talk about. And there's just starting next week, there's going to be a second Building Resilience group led by Sonia Johnson, who's also a counselor in the counseling center. And that's going to be Mondays, 2:30 to 4. And Dee is going to be participating in that. And so I think one of the things that's nice is we're there to help support you again. You're not talking to someone you don't know without some kind of support. So I think that's really worked well. We've had some really great discussions, and just kind of keeps growing. And that's a really cool partnership. I know that that was a concern a few years back, and I think we've done a lot to really address kind of the best care, particularly mental health care, really working with the counseling center. So I'm super excited about that. And then again, D, everybody knows D. Whenever I'm on a committee, they're like, oh, you're in CESA. D's a good guy. I know D. And so he's famous across campus. And I know quite a few people as well, maybe not as much as D. But I think, again, we have these partnerships. A lot of times we personally know people, work quite a bit with Hinckley Institute. Sometimes they email like, hey, we need a student who would be interested in an internship. And, we can help make those connections. And I think that's really exciting because sometimes, especially when I was a student, I was kind of hesitant to reach out for help. And we're here to help support that, to help make those connections so they don't seem as scary or as anxious as they could. And I think, one of the things I think we're really good at is we're here to support you and we're here to back you up, but also to support you in what you want to do. And so I think, those are really cool things. Some other things we do, I do on Wednesdays at 5 to 6, we have some late hours. I know a lot of students ask that like 8 to 5 doesn't always work. So I always have a Zoom meeting open 5 to 6, anytime when anyone wants to drop in. I've had guests from all around campus kind of talk about themselves, and have fun discussions. We had discussions about like gardening. I led one on comics. Tony in our office showed his doll collection. So lots of really fun stuff. And then also, just because, a lot of times in the past students would study in CESA, but that's not really possible with COVID. So there's some online, we have a CESA Discord channel that the students told me they wanted me to make. They helped me make it. And so 4 to 5 on Thursdays and 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. It's just, you can go in, play some music that's kind of relaxing, and you just study, but know that there's other people there with you. And we've got people to join quite a bit on that. And so lots of resources, but I also want to say, like, we're really trying to listen. And so with students who said, hey, we need better support from the counseling center. Hey, I want to study, but it's hard to do it alone. And so those are all things that we're doing that have been kind of student things. So please don't hesitate to say, hey, this would really help me. Can you do this? And almost always we can find a solution. We can make something. Again, like the grad school prep, what we've done in the past was based on students who are like, I want to go to grad school, but I don't know what that looks like. And so again, please, in addition to everything we do have that we shared, we're always listening for what else people need. And so don't hesitate to say like, hey, can you do this? Or can you connect me to this person? Or it would be cool if like there was something like that. And I think, that's something that as a student, you're not always told like you can do, but I definitely want to let you know all here that like, please, please reach out and please feel like, hey, this would really help me. Because if that's the case, there's tons of other students that would. And so we did like, just as example, students asked for the grad school prep, and the first workshop we did had like 20 people. And so like, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Is there any other things you want to add, Dee?
No, I would like to just add the networking piece and projects that you're interested in. One of the biggest projects, and they're not only for like on campus, it's out in your community, your home country. Something Will and some of his peers are working on, creating college access for international students. Those are wonderful things, and here to listen and here to make connections. There's resources that the university has. We're really excited about and wanting to share that with you all. I do want to share that we also do some good work with peer institutions, our Pacific Islander student organizations in other schools. This coming month, Weber State, we had a meeting with a few of our students, and they created a speaker series that will go throughout the year on different topics. They would love, similar to what we are doing here this evening, there's some topics that the students have discussed, and they're going to bring in some keynote speakers and just having a focus group similar to this, a little platform so they can share. And all the schools in Utah, the advisors and the schools, we've kind of formulated Pacific Islander Advisory Committee. And I would love to connect the school, the program, um, with these other entities for collaboration and for activities. We, I want to, I don't want you to limit yourselves to only what's available here. There's so much wonderful things. COVID has reminded us or has given us a glimpse of how far our reach really is, not only for personnel, but programs and resources. So thank you for triggering those thoughts there, Paul, on some of the things that you may be interested in. There was a student a few years ago. She had an interest to work on Pacific Islander health, and a handful of people on campus kind of helped generate that and other resources. And before you know it, they have been going regularly back to the kingdom and providing healthy, creating health farms and resources and education for our people back in the kingdom of Tonga. Humanitarian aid to the Pacific has been big, huge, even other countries and stuff. So the sky's the limit, and really excited that you all have gotten together here. So thank you.
Well, thank you both. I wanted to ask if you could both just drop your contact information in the chat box for everyone, so that they can reach out to you. The other question I had for both of you was, it, even if a student is not currently enrolled at the University of Utah, can they still reach out to you?
Of course. And a lot of the work I do with students is students who are like, I'm coming to the U, but how does this transfer work? What steps do I need to do? So yes, absolutely. We work with students all the time as they're coming in. So really kind of see it as from the in time, the interest, and they're ready to like all the way through grad school.
Yes, follow up with Paul. Yes, absolutely. We are outreaching even as young as grade school. It's not, it consumes a lot of the time, but yes, people are interested from every state, different countries. They've been hitting us up here. I think most people just want to come and get my autograph and take pictures with me and stuff. You know, like Paul mentioned, you know, kind of like a celebrity and stuff like that. They think I work for Fox 13, but I don't. I don't. I work for the University of Utah. But
You're not the same person.
no, that guy got money, and he's skinny. No, but yes, we work with anybody. I'm telling you, I'm working with parents, different siblings and cousins, and almost every week I get referrals. Hey, D, I'm planning to come to university. Can you give me more information? Blah blah blah. Yes, absolutely, and I love that. I think that's one of the greatest joys of my job is to make connections. Sometimes the University of Utah, like Paul mentioned, is not a good fit at first, especially if they're coming from out of state. But we create pathways and we can help people find resources to eventually get to where they need to get to. And sometimes there's another school that's better for them, for their study and for their what they're looking at. But I'll tell you what, this Pacific Islander program um, and studies here is starting to be a great platform of Pacific Islander students wanting to come here and take interest in that. So great job, Mo, and your team. You guys are doing an awesome job.
I'm just the staff. But I wanted to let everybody know that please, when Paul and Dee say come reach out to them, to just reach out to them too if you're interested, even for those who are joining us and are not students. If you want to reach out to me, I usually send you, I will send you actually to them, because they've been here and have institutional knowledge for many years here at the University of Utah. So I just want to thank both of you for opening up with that presentation. I want to invite our Pacifica ambassadors who for us to just have a short conversation about kind of the experiences this year as COVID. I'm I'm pretty much, I'm going to call it. I think next year we'll still, at least for the fall semester, will be online. So wanting to hear their perspective, and if you, both of you can maybe answer some of their concerns or questions, or join in that conversation. So just wanting to introduce our current Pacifica ambassadors. If each of you could just quickly introduce your name, your year, and your major, that would be great. And then we'll go straight into the conversation. We'll start off with Calais because she's the senior most ambassador.
Oh yeah, my name is Calais Tuitpo. I'm a senior this year. I was an ambassador last year, but now I'm a mentor to the ambassadors and a undergraduate researcher with the Utah Pacific Island Studies Initiative, and I'm studying sociology.
Thanks, Clay. And then Will and from there.
Hello everyone, my name is Will Satini. I am from Tonga. I'm studying biology and chemistry. What was the other thing?
What year are you?
Oh yeah, I'm a sophomore.
Thanks, Will.
Hi everyone, my name is Joy Kavapalu. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a junior studying health society and policy.
Nice. And then last one, Lehua.
Hi, my name is Lehua Kono. I'm studying international and Asian studies with a focus on global health in the Pacific Islands. I'm a junior and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Thank you. So I just wanted to jump into it for the ambassadors. What have been some of the challenges this year with COVID and online schooling that those who are wanting to start at the University of Utah, or even just your peers, it's sometimes nice to hear that they're not the only ones. What are some of the challenges that you've been having and studying, and ways that you've been able to negotiate that or get better throughout this last semester? Anyone can popcorn out.
I can go real quick because I have a lot of things that I think I've been thinking about with everything going online, and like I have a lot of opinions about how the university has handled it. But first, I would say my biggest challenge this year has been combating burnout, and I know that several students have said it. I think that burnout is a problem just on a regular semester, but the days and the weeks started blending together at some point because every day was the same. The screen, I stared at it for several hours a day, and it became really hard to stay motivated and to stay disciplined and to stay on top of my like schoolwork. And so I'd say burnout was definitely maybe my top thing, especially considering that the university took away the fall break. It was like go, go, go the entire time, all gas, no breaks. And I really, really wish we had a break. And then I would say the second thing that I really struggled with this semester was kind of combating isolation, because I'm fortunate enough to live in the dorms. And so I live with like people that I get along with, my peers here in the dorms. But even with that, I would say the isolation in terms of like learning material and things. For example, I'm in an organic chemistry class, and on that type of material, I learn better when I'm able to like sit in a room and just talk to people for a long time, looking at the same molecules over and over again. But I didn't really get that this year, and I definitely found it harder to like reach out for help when I had to like schedule a Zoom meeting or send out an email to really connect with people. And so I would say maybe those two things were my top challenges with everything being virtual this semester.
Thank you, Joy. I saw a lot of heads nodding. Anyone else want to join in that conversation?
I think I'll add on. So I totally agree with burnout. My two sisters are in college too, so they were telling me about, their experiences with burnout and stuff. But also for me and my other sister, we're both seniors. And so we've been experiencing like senioritis, and we've been trying to like push through because this is our last year and like we really want to finish. But I know for her it's been really hard. She's a math major, and so she's been trying to, just get through like all of her classes and stuff. But I think that's been one of the biggest battles is those two things, and also just with the pandemic, like seeing the effect that it has on our communities, especially with the deaths that have been happening. I've had a lot of deaths within my family as well, just recently, and so just trying to cope with like not only burnout but like grief, and trying to see, find balance and find patience within like myself and with others is just something that I've just been trying to figure out. So
Thanks, Kali. Will or Lehua?
Yeah, I would just like to second, or I guess third, what Kale and Joy talked about. Just with burnout and isolation and all of that. I think one thing I really enjoyed and appreciate that the university kept the libraries open. The main library on campus, and there's also the School of Medicine's library up by the dorms. For me, just getting out of the house and leaving my room and just being outside, out of bed, out of mind, and having the library to go to was very helpful. I find that when I'm there and when I see other people working, I am kind of like in that mindset where I'm like, yes, I'm in a place where I am motivated to work, and seeing other people do the same was kind of a game changer for me. And that was something that I've learned much later in the semester that I wish I would have known in the beginning of the semester, that, people were allowed to go into the libraries and sit at the desk and just study. And so that helped a lot for me. And even then accessing the resources that are available in the libraries. And yeah, you could also meet as a group. If you have a group of friends, you could book. I know there's a limit in numbers. The most I've had to meet up in the library was like 6 people in one room. But even then, that helped a little bit in spite of all of the craziness that's happening all around me. But just a tip for everyone.
Lehua, do you have anything to add?
I kind of feel the same as everyone else. Just like burnout's been really hard. It's been really hard to keep track of everything. It's been difficult to like stay on top of school and have the motivation to actually do well and turn in your assignments on time. That's probably been like the hardest part. I wish I could get out more, but because of the mandate, I've been staying home for the past couple weeks. I haven't left except for work or to go get food. So I don't really have the liberty of like going over to the library or anything like that because I don't live close enough to the U to do that. And I also work in healthcare, so I have to be careful about where I go every day. So, yeah.
I think this is a question for Paul and Dee. So all, and these are like, I know our ambassadors well, that they like the type of work that they do, and they're awesome workers and have really good resumes and grades. But like, what are some resources that you all provide for or support, especially in this time when even like the best and the brightest are having these types of challenges outside of like professors? Because another thing that I've heard from other students, not just from this university, but from other colleges, is like even the professors, sometimes they're really flexible if you have COVID, but they're not as flexible if you're like, hey, it's a bit stressful when I'm staring at a screen all the time. So what are your guys's recommendations?
A lot of wonderful things because even as a staff member, golly. So in my home, I've got high school students, I got a faculty member, my wife is a school teacher, and then me, a celebrity on college campus. It's really hard to be staring at a screen all the time. So let me tell you something that's helped me, and I've actually included some of the students. Once a week, I do the food pantry. And the food pantry usually gives free food. It don't matter if it's for you or for somebody else. So this past semester, at least 3 or 4 students I will find, or they will meet me there, and it's in small groups just to get out. So I got a truck, a little pickup truck, and I load it up with food, and I just drive, and I go find students, and I leave it at their homes. And for me, mentally, emotionally, that helps me. It's like a recharger. The students that have been coming with me, they're the ones who's giving me the referrals. They know their friends. So if it's not the University of Utah campus pantry, at the union or up at the hospital or some of the county ones. So that's one thing, is doing some kind of service. I've also been trying to get out of here as well, by doing other services. Over at the dorm. Those of you who were up at the dorms for a while, there was when school started, there was a lot of uncertainties and people moving in and out and things that needed to get done. And so I think it was just I like what Will said. Going to campus or just going somewhere and watching or seeing other people doing it, it kind of keeps things almost helps you kind of look at things a little bit normal. A lot of my freshman students, they would reserve library spaces or places to go study just to get together in small groups. What kind of resources we have? Man, we've been doing some fun stuff in our office. Like Paul mentioned, some of the, I know these are all virtually, so, but it's a different virtual. It's not study virtual, it's activity virtual. We had a couple game days, game activities with people in different places. We did a Kahoot one time as a staff, as a team building. That was pretty fun. With some of my students, my first and second year students, we did a trivia. We did a trivia. And then we had a eating. Oh, that's the funnest. Like we had lunch a few times and everybody's just eating from where you're at. So I think service projects, going for a drive, biggest one I share with my students is exercise. You can walk in circles in your house or in your neighborhood. Just get out and get some fresh air and move your body. That's a big thing. I got a teenager and he cannot sit in his corner. I walk in and he's got his blanket over. He's got his Zoom going on from his school and he's got his blanket. I said, son, how can you see through your blanket? And sometimes we got to take a time out, go out to the garage and lift weights for a little bit. So physical exercise, physically getting out and going, and then always checking in on other people on what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks, Steve, for those recommendations. And thank you for all for kind of sharing. That's really real. I've been hearing that a lot. I think it's unfortunately just really hard with the situation with burnout. I would say like I definitely agree with some of Lehua's comments of like with me, I work with transfer students. They're not always, near the university. I've had some students because they're not originally living in Utah, like move back home. I mean, that'd be like out of state or internationally. And so this again, it becomes hard then to go out or go back to campus. And so I think like some of the things we try to do, and obviously like we don't have all the answers, but some of the attempts we've done in CESA, again, it's like the 5 p.m. I'm just going to be on there. You can join. You don't need an appointment. The study hours, we've definitely seen students join in. They have requested it to be pretty late to 7 to 9, but we've seen students, join on just so that we have, um, some kind of online community. How can we try to make that? But again, that's all, really real. Do you want to give a quick shout out to Lehua? She made the ASA Discord and it's really amazing. Like they play games and they have study things. And I think like that kind of stuff, I've been really impressed with. The students have been really creative. And so again, we're trying to listen and kind of see what best works for you all. But yeah, it's hard right now.
Yeah, I think too, like our last webinar episode, if anybody wants to tap into that as well, it's up on the Pacifica archive, with mental health and talking about just accessing the resources. Kale has pushed out some on our social media. If you will, any of you just need to talk with somebody, they're offering virtual counseling sessions and things. So those are other options, or other recommendations. So the other part, like they've offered up things that they're that could help, and then so did Will. Along those lines, what have those are the challenges, but what have you all been doing just to keep keep yourselves not just busy, but like able to keep on going? What are some tips or even for this next coming semester learnings that you've had, that you could share with the rest of students that are going to be starting up or continuing forward?
Did you say my name?
No, but if the
Oh.
spirit moves you.
I thought you said Will. I guess I'll go anyways. Recently I've become very good friends with my calendar. And I use both a written calendar, which is behind me, and just a calendar on like all of my devices, my phone, my computer, and my iPad, so they're all synced up. And so what I've been doing, I've been scheduling pretty much every hour of my day. I find that putting it on a physical calendar and also just scheduling things to do throughout the day, you're kind of setting yourself up mentally to be like, okay, at this certain time of the day, I will be doing this and that. I'll be completing this assignment and I'll be turning in that assignment. And so that for me kind of just helps me be on track of things. It's a habit that I learned from somewhere else, and I kind of just discontinued that. But for the past 2 months, I've just find that doing that is very effective, especially now with everything online and the amount of assignments that these professors are giving us are just horrendous. But yeah, I guess that's a pro tip from me. Just schedule things in. It'll help you be more productive throughout your day. And so, yeah.
I agree with the scheduling. Thank you for sharing that. I think some things that kind of we've been thinking about. I've been having this kind of conversation with a lot of people recently, so it's definitely something that's been coming up a lot. Chelsea, who works with me as a graduate assistant, and I were talking about this, and she was saying like one of the things, and I'm guilty of doing this as well, is that like when you get stressed or you feel like, oh, I have so much to do, like all the things that kind of were helpful kind of drop away. And so just remembering to maintain those things. So for me, definitely with all the screen time, one of the things I like, and definitely ask me about this if you're interested, is I really like comic books, but also comic books with kind of critical and social justice themes. And so taking away and looking at like a piece of paper, you know, and art and kind of thinking about the stories has been really helpful. But I know that like sometimes with stress, I'm like, I don't do any of the things that are kind of helpful. So just remembering to kind of keep that kind of routine going. I mean, it goes to Will's comments about like making sure you're keeping your schedule. But I think that's one thing that's helpful of like when you get stressed, not to kind of go into a panic mode where you're like forgetting all the things that kind of were helping you before that, you know. And so kind of just trying to maintain that routine as much as you can, and making sure like not to feel guilty about like, yes, I have a test, yes, I have assignment, but I also, you know, need to see my family, I need to, you know, see my friends, I need to, you know, take a break, and doing that without kind of feeling guilty. And again, like if you have a kind of schedule, you say, I have this time for this. But and that would be a conversation I have with a lot of students too, of like, you know, don't schedule your whole time without any kind of, you know, fun thing, you know, and try to just build that in.
I also want to add, sometimes we may think that we're not being productive if we're just taking some time for ourselves. Whether it's, I enjoy podcasts and music on YouTube. And so, man, I will find a corner where I'm not interrupting the others in my home, and I'll just jam some music for a little bit, whether it's an instrument or just listening to music. Um, and then one of the greatest blessings, I'll be honest with all of you, um, I have never cooked so much in my life with my family. And I've been experimenting with my family on some things that I've never, ever made in my life. And that's been really enjoyable. Even cleaning is therapeutic, just to get away from the screen for a little bit. So play some music in the background, walk away, wash some dishes, do some laundry, fold some clothes, walk around the house, and then come back. And so self-care is humongous, humongous, humongous. So schedule it. I like that, Will and Paul. Thank you.
I miss hearing your music in the office too. D would all down to everything.
What are some other tips? We have a little bit more time that anyone could share.
I agree with like everything that's been said, especially like with self-care. I think in the last episode we talked about giving yourself some grace, giving yourself that break that you need. And I feel like that's really helped me, is just to, even if in the midst of everything going on, just taking that break and taking that breather has been really good. I think also this time has helped me like connect with my family, like my cousins and stuff. And so we set up a Discord with each other, and we've been playing Among Us and like just yelling at each other. It's been fun, but also so just taking time to communicate with each other, talk to your cousins, just get back into that zone of comfort, and then try to tackle it day by day instead of thinking, oh, in a week there's finals, but just take it each day at a time. So
thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, just going off of what Calais said about communicating. I swear, before COVID happened, I talked to my mom like once every three months. But now I talk to her every week. And so just reconnecting with close family members, especially if you don't live with them, or if you don't live in close proximity, which is in my case, they live all the way on the other side of the world. But just reestablishing that relationship with family members and with friends as well. I know that last week we talked about, or our last webinar where we talked about mental health and like how Pacific Islanders identify themselves through, their relationships and the people they know and all of that stuff. And for me, I believe that's core to our mental health. And so I find it very helpful to have a chat with my mom and dad and see how they're going and see how everyone else is going. And so if you're not doing that, I would highly suggest doing that now. But if you're doing that already, or if you live with your parents, good luck to you. But I'm just kidding. Nah, yeah.
I think I talk to them too much now. Well, if Lua or Joy wants to jump in before we close out.
One thing that I've been doing along with like the whole scheduling thing is I've been trying to like have my friends on video call with me to study. I find that it keeps me accountable, and I actually get stuff done versus saying I'll get stuff done and I end up going on my phone and just scrolling through social media because I'm done with school. So I highly suggest doing that because it keeps you accountable, because you'll look up and your friend's like looking at you for a second. You're like, oh crap, I have to work. Otherwise they're not going to work. So it kind of keeps each other accountable is what I've been doing.
That's a good one. Joy, do you have any?
Yeah, I really like what everyone else has said, especially Paul, what you said about, I know that for me, I felt really guilty this semester anytime I'm not doing work because my work is on my computer. And sometimes when I'm not doing work on my computer, I feel really guilty because I know I could be getting more done. So I would say the biggest lesson I learned this semester is giving myself grace. And that goes into what everyone else has kind of said, like with self-care and taking time to kind of decompress. And the best way I've seen that work for me this semester is like going outside and going on a walk. I didn't really have to like schedule time to do that in previous semesters because I'd have to like run from one building to another, and I kind of counted that as my daily walk. Um, but this semester, it's been really important that I like find some time of the day where I can like get outside of this building, outside of this room, away from my computer, and like just walk around and think about nothing. So I would say that that's been a good coping strategy for me.
Well, I think that were all of the advice you all have given are similar things that I'm trying to also implement. Um, I've never cooked, and this is the reason why there was a pandemic for me to learn how to cook. Because ordering out gets a little bit pricey when you never can ever leave your house. So I've learned how to cook a lot, and I think Micah appreciates that a whole lot more because he was the one that was cooking all these years. So I hope that everybody is able to connect with each other. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us this Friday evening. I do see the silver lining, even though we're disconnected in person, but I'm like, well, I've been able to connect with folks halfway across the world now, that usually we'd be too busy in our own silos to even have the time to connect with each other. And so catching up with friends that I haven't seen since graduate school, because now they have the time to talk over Zoom, as well as family and friends that are close by. So hoping that everybody will be able to get some rest this weekend, and have those walks and make dinner for their family. But thank you, Dee and um, Paul, for joining us this evening, and especially the panelists for their work and help. Um, we'll be continuing these conversations into next week, in the next 2 weeks, on December 4th, with our signature speaker, Tevita Kinikini. So we're hoping that everybody will join us then at our signature event. But I just want to say and to all of those that participated, thank you for always helping with the work that I do, as well as the students for pushing through. They all talked about the challenges, but their own site supervisors have been raving about all of them and how well you all are able to do the work that you do. So I'm excited for the next generation of Pacifica scholars and all that you all will be contributing. Um, so make sure to follow us on Instagram, the UofU Pacifica Scholars, and then check out our Pacifica archives to watch this event. Thank you all for joining, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time with Tevita Kinikini. So thank you. Dua Fatu. Have a good weekend. Bye, guys.
Everybody.